Haley Robson. She is one of the Epstein survivors who spoke out on Capitol Hill along with other Epstein survivors, pushing for the release of all the Epstein files. You saw her in our preamble speaking so passionately in front of Capitol Hill just last week. And Haley, I appreciate your time. And, shouldn't get into how anybody voted, but in a world where this is an issue that should be apolitical and nonpartisan, I will just note for people, because you've been open about this, that you're a registered Republican and you voted for President Trump. So in that context, right, you're not coming with some political point of view against him, right? You're coming as a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein. And I want to give you a chance, Haley, to just explain how you feel when Trump today gets asked about the Epstein birthday book and he calls it a, quote, dead issue multiple times.
A dead issue to who, first of all? Your first mistake was assuming that you knew your voters. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake is now standing double down on what you said about it being a hoax. I'm not coming with hostility. I'm not angry. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I am disgusted. I am not even coming from a place of anger. I'm just coming from a place of how can we move on when the leader of the free world keeps calling this a hoax when indeed it is not a hoax. And then it's just kind of this feeling of like you're throwing everything at the wall to let it stick. And now you're an FBI informant and now you're not an FBI informant. It's back to being a hoax. It's very confusing. And, it's appalling. I'm appalled. It gets worse and worse every day.
It is shocking. I mean, and I guess I know you're exhausted and reliving these things is not what you want to do, but you're choosing to do it to make sure that we get to the truth and we get to justice. So people understand. So the president understands if he hears you, Haley. You were 16 years old when you explain how a classmate recruited you. You said basically, oh, there's an old guy, he wants a massage, a rich guy, $200. You give him a massage, you get $200. And Epstein then, you say, abused you, gave you an ultimatum that you had to bring a girl to him every day. And you spoke at the Capitol about how you ended up in that situation, a 16-year-old girl, where you felt you didn't have a choice because of his wealth and his power and who you were as a 16-year-old girl. So what is your reaction to all of this?
Well, first, let's address he hears me. The president is hearing me. I think that communication is key when it's followed with comprehension. So I'm not sure that he's comprehending what I am trying to communicate to him. Obviously, being a 16-year-old girl, not knowing how to navigate a situation, the one that I was put in, it's, my younger self has become the woman that I needed in that moment. And I think for any 16-year-old, for any child to try to navigate that on their own you're going to have failure. You're going to have mistakes. There's no way any woman, let alone a 16-year-old child, is going to understand what's happening in that moment.
Yeah.
And so it's devastating going through that, when you're 16 and having to live with that abuse and then coming out publicly after 17 years of being silenced and trying to get people to understand, and not just the president, not just the administration, not just the politicians, but trying to get people in the country to understand not only what we were put through, but the people that we're up against, the system that we're up against.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been a failure on both sides.
So, President Trump, the note signed with his name in Epstein's birthday book says, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. May every day be another wonderful secret. And we don't know what that means. I mean, it's disgusting and crude, but we don't know what it means. But Republican Congressman Tom Massie, who is out there pounding the table, Haley, as you know, to get answers and to get to the truth in a bipartisan way. He is speaking out about his Republican colleagues who are not going along with him. There are a few, all women, who are, but the vast majority of them are not. And here's what he is saying as to why.
I don't think my colleagues are happy about covering up for pedophiles. But that's what's happening, and it's so sick and twisted. The reason they're doing it is because they're terrified of President Trump's political machine.
Do you think that's what it is, Haley? You've had a chance to speak to some of them in person. Is that what it is? They're afraid of Trump?
Well, again, let's be clear. I spoke in front of Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Recounting. Those were the three representatives, including the female Democratic caucus. Not too many Republicans I've personally spoken to on this subject. Kudos to the women in the Republican Party for having more courage to stand up for what's right. I think this is exactly why we're in the place we're in society. Is you've got the bad guys and you've got the good guys, and the bad guys are silencing the good guys, which makes it impossible for the good men to stand up in situations like these to defend the women. And they are too being silenced if indeed this is all in accordance to Trump making the remark of, you know, if you're in this administration as a Republican and you go against the administration, you're now creating a hostile environment for the administration. I can understand the fear. You know, I can understand why they're being silenced, but you're hurting the survivors. You're hurting us. Yeah. And I feel like it's been enough of that.
It has been enough of that. And of course, those others who knew or participated are still not being held to account. Justice is not being brought. Haley, I appreciate your choosing again to continue speaking out. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.